getting got at the gate.
I was basically at their mercy.
Black people traveling with cash at the airport.
It's unfortunately been very common at the Atlanta airport.
Targeted by the DEA. This man from Georgia had $8,500 on him. He was going to LA to shoot a music video.
They flashed me an ID card, told me to come with them.
The feds took his money.
Feeling like I was robbed was an understatement.
And it's happened at airports across the country.
Where's your bag at?
I don't consent to search, sir.
You don't have to consent. Where's your backpack at?
How is that legal?
Well, it's not legal.
The fight to fly in peace. And what you need to know the next time you bring cash to the airport.
I felt beyond humiliated, embarrassed.
I'm Justin Carter, and this is TSR Investigates. But before we get into it, roommates, for more TSR Investigates, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the Shade Room's YouTube channel for new weekly episodes of this show and more.
I had sold a car, and once I sold the car, they gave me a check, deposited a check into my bank account. I withdrew majority of the money. I booked my flight. I got ready to go to LA to do a music video, a photo shoot, and a little bit of shopping for the things that I needed.
But the feds at Hartsfield-Jackson, Atlanta were waiting for Brian Moore at the door. This happened back in 2021. He says he got approached by two female DEA agents who asked him if he had guns or drugs on him. He didn't. Then they asked if he had cash on him.
They flashed me an ID card, told me to come with them.
Did you ask why? What was your reaction initially?
Well, when they showed me the card, they asked me to walk with them. And, we took a few steps and I was like, hold on, where are we going? Like, what's going on? That's when they were telling me they were doing basically random stops, randomly stopping people, allegedly.
They proceeded to tell Moore that he looked suspicious.
I mean, why would they consider you suspicious?
At the time, I had on a blue shirt and my hair was green. And, of course, it was around COVID, so I had a mask on.
This is what his hair looked like at the time. Green hair, yes, he did, but nothing about him that day suggested that he was doing or carrying anything illegal.
I let them know that I was a honorably discharged disabled veteran. Basically explained everything to them, and nothing mattered.
Not only did they take that $8,500 he had on him, they told him to proceed on his flight like nothing happened.
They told me, they were like, yeah, you might want to get on the plane before you miss your flight. That's exactly what they said.
And what did you do?
I got on the plane.
With no money.
Yeah, with nothing, for real.
He got to Los Angeles and had to cancel his video shoot. Once he returned to Atlanta, though, he called police, who then referred him back to the DEA's office.
They just treated me horrible, basically.
2 years later, after he took the government to court, he won. But here's the gag. Moore went further and asked the court for the $15,200 in fees that his attorneys tabulated while defending him. The court, though, said no. They argued that Brian Moore technically didn't win the case because the government had voluntarily asked for the case to be dismissed.
Then when we sought attorney's fees, the judge said, no go, you haven't substantially prevailed. And we were all sort of puzzled by this because how could you prevail any more than getting all of your money back?
That's Dan Albin, senior attorney for the Institute for Justice, who took this case to a federal appeals court.
The civil forfeiture system is stacked against property owners and in favor of law enforcement. If you don't do anything, you lose.
He says what the DEA is doing is called civil forfeiture. And in this case, a money grab at U.S. airports, specifically in big cities. He says oftentimes people who have their money confiscated don't go through the hassle of fighting to get it back in court because it's too expensive.
The seizures of cash and other property are often not huge amounts of money. And so you would often spend more on an attorney than the value of the property that was seized. Like in Brian's case, his attorneys billed almost twice as much as the value of the property they got back.
But just 2 weeks ago, a federal appeals court judge sided with Moore, ruling that the DEA is responsible for paying for his attorney's fees.
It's not just a win for Brian, it's a win for anyone who finds themselves in a similar situation.
Like Jerry Johnson, who appeared on WSB TV in Atlanta back in 2023. He was heading from Charlotte to Phoenix with $39,500 cash to buy a truck at auction. he never made that happen. The DEA seized his money before takeoff.
Nobody ever contacted me. Nobody asked me any questions. I never heard nothing from them after they seized my money.
He had to sue to get his money back, and he won. It didn't quite get that far, though, for this man who sat down with the Institute for Justice last year.
I'd almost imagine that this had to be some kind of mix-up.
He knew his rights and refused to hand over his bag after he says DEA agents tried bullying him into handing it over to search. They even called for a canine search where agents signaled to the dog, implicating that something suspicious was inside. But you can see the dog sensed nothing.
So I was waiting by the jet bridge for about 5 minutes, and I remember seeing the dog handler pop up through one of the kind of airport gates. And at first, he pointed the dog towards my bag, and the dog took a smell and just ran straight past it. A few seconds later, he started clicking his fingers, and the dog started coming back, and I saw him basically gesture at my bag.
You see that? You got it recorded. Don't edit that part out of the video either.
It's sort of a seize first, ask questions later kind of scenario.
That recorded exchange, it changed everything in January. The DEA announcing it was suspending the transportation interdiction program altogether. Albin says it came after a scathing report from the Inspector General's office claiming that these encounters can be susceptible to racial profiling. One, when an agent approaches an individual based on no particular behavior by the individual. And two, when an agent approaches an individual based on the officer's perception that the person is exhibiting characteristics of a drug crime without any independent predicating information.
They'll either pick people out or they'll use information they already have about how the ticket was booked. Did somebody pay cash for it? Is it a one-way flight? Is there a short turnaround on the flight? Those sorts of things they'll use to identify specific people they want to talk to before they board their flight.
How is that legal?
Well, it's not legal, but unfortunately they get away with it quite frequently.
And that's why Albin and his team are behind a class action lawsuit filed against the DEA and the TSA for cash seizures at airports without a proper warrant. Here's where it gets tricky, though. With the new presidential administration, if they don't get an injunction from the courts, the DEA could change their minds and reinstate this program at any time. So there has been a push for Congress to step in and take action against unlawful civil forfeitures. The DEA has not spoken publicly about this at all, but of course we'll be following up and let you know what happens. For TSR Investigates, I'm Justin Carter. Hello, roommates, and thank you for watching our YouTube channel. Do you want more TSR Investigates? Be sure to subscribe and check us out at theshaderoom.com.